welcome back to Elite Sports. I'm your host, Brian. This episode is for June 13th, Friday the 13th, and we are covering some training camp news items, mostly people holding out. Very unfortunate for me as a Dolphins fan, because one of the people holding out is Johnny Smith, and now they're saying that he's going to get traded. That sucks. Didn't want to hear that. After that, we will be talking to Chris Uminski. He's going to give us a little bit of an update on the Stanley Cup final, what's happening there. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So each year when training camp comes around, there's inevitably going to be players who hold out in the hopes that they're going to get a new contract. Starting off with my beloved Miami Dolphins, we have Johnny Smith. Johnny Smith set franchise records for the Dolphins last year at the tight end position. He has 1 year left on his deal, and unfortunately, it looks like the Dolphins are not only playing hardball, but they're playing, hey, if you don't like what we're giving you, you can hit the road, which sucks because he was a pretty dynamic part of the offense last season. Obviously, he wouldn't have set franchise records for the tight end position if he wasn't a dynamic piece of the offense. But the Dolphins are apparently changing their culture, and in years past, they've rewarded players for holding out. I guess they're not doing that anymore, as Zach Sealer, who is a defensive tackle for the Dolphins, I think an extremely underrated defensive tackle at that. He's had back-to-back years with 10 sacks. They kind of chose him over Christian Wilkins in terms of who they were going to give a contract extension to a few years ago. So obviously great for him, but now he's also holding out once again as he goes into the final year of his contract extension. That's not great either. At least they're not saying they're going to trade him, though. Would it surprise me if they did trade him? Not really. That's just how the Dolphins roll. But luckily, we're not the only ones who are dealing with this. Trey Hendrickson of the Cincinnati Bengals, he's had back-to-back 17.5 sack years, led the league in sacks last year. He is holding out. The Bengals don't want to give him a new contract. He's probably earned a new contract based on how well he's been playing, but the Bengals can't even sign their first-round pick this year, so no wonder they're having trouble with signing another player who's already under contract for them. So, that I think he will get a new contract. I don't see how you could possibly give up on a player who's had, 35 sacks in 2 years. That would be extremely, extremely ridiculous. Then we got TJ Watt. All defensive linemen, I guess, are holding out, all ones of note. TJ Watt going into last year of his deal. He's a 7-time Pro Bowler. The heart and soul of the defense for Pittsburgh. Be very surprising to me if they didn't work something out here. But again, they're going to play hardball for a little bit with TJ Watt. And another player who is holding out, we got wide receiver Terry McLaurin coming off his second Pro Bowl appearance in 2024. Had great chemistry with Jaden Daniels. Has been a very consistent player for the Commanders, even when their quarterback position hasn't been so consistent. Now they have someone who looks like he's going to be a starter for a long time in Jaden Daniels. And Terry McLaurin is like, hey, I've stuck with you through thick and thin. I would like to be rewarded for that. And I would imagine that he will get a new contract. If we go through it, Johnny Smith, will he get a new contract? Maybe with another team. It seems that he's going to get traded. There's been whispers that the Pittsburgh Steelers are interested in him and Jalen Ramsey, which would be very interesting for Miami. They'd hopefully get a decent haul if both of those players are being traded to the same team. Trey Hendrickson, he'll get a new deal for sure. TJ Watt will get a new deal. One of them will sign first, and the other one will get more money. Probably what's going to happen there. Terry McLaurin, I would imagine, also will get a new deal from the Washington Commanders. Zach Sealer, I do think he will get a new deal as well. I think he's too important for the Dolphins on a team that their defense isn't going to be great next season, especially in the secondary. They really need to have all their best players available for them going into next season. So those are just some of my thoughts on training camp. The most interesting part of training camp is who's holding out, who will get new contracts. The least interesting part is people writing what the performances were, the stats were in training camp. It doesn't. I don't really think that stuff matters. If someone's looking horrible, sure that matters. But like someone blowing all their teammates away in training camp, especially when they're either a rookie high pick or somebody who has been around for a while, is not that interesting or impressive to me. But what are your thoughts on all of this? Do you think that I'm right in who I think will get new contracts / who I think will get traded? Basically, all of them will get new contracts except Johnny Smith, who will get traded. Essentially, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hey everyone, welcome to Power Play. I'm joined, as always, by Chris Uminski. Chris, how you doing? We're in a different setup because StreamYard's down, but we're making it work with Google Meet.
Yep, shout out to Google. I'm doing pretty good, all things considered. Brian, how are you doing?
Yeah, man, I'm doing well. Training camp's starting for the NFL, so I'm in my element with that. As for you, the season's winding down in the NHL. It's over for our Bruins for a while now, but there is still news. What do we got happening with the Bruins right now?
Well, so the biggest thing that we were dealing with at the end of the offseason was, of course, the firing of Jim Montgomery in the middle of the season. So we had an interim for a little while. We do know now who the Bruins head coach is going to be, and it is going to be Marco Sturm.
All right. So off the rip, how we feeling when you first saw that news come across the screen? What were your thoughts?
I don't know if I'm excited about this hire. I mean, it's an okay hire. He's the coach of the Ontario Reign right now, the Kings AHL team. He's a former Bruins player, which is nice to see, I guess, but it also feels like with this hire too, that they just went with the first guy who said yes to the job.
Okay, that's not high praise, but elaborate there. Do you think they were having issues getting bigger names in?
They were. So they interviewed just about everybody who was available, but some of the bigger names that were available, or like I know they made offers to John Tortorella. They made offers to a couple of other big names that are out there, and a lot of them said no. And one guy, I forget who, Joe Sacco said that he didn't want the job. Initially, he didn't want to stay there because things in the front office are just too bad right now.
Do you think that's probably where most of the other coaches came down as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. And frankly, I really can't blame them. Why would you want to take a head coaching job with a team that fired Bruce Cassidy and who went on to win a cup the next year? Fired Jim Montgomery after his coaching record with the team. He coached the team to the most wins in NHL history.
Right.
Like at some point you have to look in the mirror and realize that the problem is staring you right in the face.
I mean, Chris, you've been saying it. Like you've been saying, like the issue isn't the coach. It's the Bruins front office for at least a year now, right? Like
yes, all of the problems that the Bruins are having, I can trace back to front office problems. Don Sweeney has certainly lost his touch. He's decimated the farm system. Made some really bad trades, some really badly timed trades. And I don't think Bruins Nation is ever going to forgive him for trading away Brad Marchand.
Yeah, I mean that's perfect transition to our next topic, right? Is there anything else you want to say about that, Coach, before we move on?
No, I mean, Marco Sturm, he's going to be fine. I'm excited for this hire. It'll be very interesting to see what he does with the team that he has.
Yeah, we'll have to see. So, as you alluded to, or I guess outright said, Brad Marchand traded at the trade deadline. We were pretty devastated here on the show, I feel like. Didn't want to see him go. And he is tearing it up in the Stanley Cup final.
He sure is. One of the things that is both that I love to see because he's my favorite player in the NHL. I love seeing Brad Marchand succeed. He deserves to win a cup, and he wasn't going to do it in Boston. You can't blame him for that. But just seeing him score game-winning goals, power play goals, shorthanded goals, just seeing him do all of this, playing all of this fantastic hockey with the Panthers is incredibly frustrating for me to watch as a Bruins fan, knowing that this guy could and should be on our team.
Yeah, did I see there was a stat that he's like the first player in Stanley Cup final history to score an overtime winner and within the first minute of the next game? Like some crazy stat like that?
Yes.
Crazy.
He is
crazy
the first. He is the first player in Stanley Cup final history to score a shorthanded goal in regulation and then an overtime game winner.
I mean, we knew that he was this good. Like, it sucks that he's not on the team anymore. How much money do you think he's made himself on this run in the playoffs?
Between new sponsorship deals in Florida, whatever bonuses he has in his contract for goal scoring, he is making enough money where I think there's a good chance he stays there. I really do, and it's sad. It's really sad to see.
Yeah, because this team they look good.
Yes, they look amazing, and I think something that I love to see, and also like, what the hell, this is our guy. They've made the rat thing a tradition. They're now where they're
throwing it on the ice.
Yeah, they're throwing rubber rats at Brad Marchand on the ice in like a loving way.
I'm glad that another franchise has embraced him as much as the Bruins fans did,
Yeah. Oh, he's also the oldest player to score in each of the first 3 games of a Stanley Cup final.
Crazy. So right now they're up 2-1. That game on Monday was not even close. 6-1. I mean, how are you feeling? Tonight at the time of recording, we got a game at 8. But how are you feeling about the rest of this series for the Panthers?
I think the Panthers are going to win this one again. This is a rematch from last year, which I like to see it.
Yeah, it's fun.
I think my rooting interest, I don't really have one in this series. I'd love to see the Oilers win because Connor McDavid deserves to win a Stanley Cup. But then the Florida Panthers, they got my guy. I want to see Brad hoist a cup. But the rest of this series is going to be really good. It's the best Stanley Cup final we've had in a while, as far as entertainment value.
Oh yeah, game 2, amazing. Like one of the best hockey games I've seen. And obviously, I don't watch them as much as you, but for me, I was like, this is so intense.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun, if not a little bit sad to watch.
Yeah, no, I feel you there. So yeah, anything else you want to touch on before we get on out of here?
I think that'll do it for me, Brian. I guess you know what? I'm just gonna say it. Go Panthers.
All right, go Panthers. You know me as a Dolphins fan, I have a little bit of my heart, pulling for the Miami team down there. So, if it can't be the Bruins, may as well be the Panthers.
Yeah. And if I really want to feel happy, I'll just put the Cubs on.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I know we gotta get back to doing some of our baseball coverage here. I don't know. It's just because the Red Sox have been so mediocre, but I haven't heard from Rhett or Jack to talk much about them. But we can
talk some Cubs real soon. They are most certainly not mediocre this season.
No, yeah, real good. All right, Chris, where can they find you online? Anything you want to promote? The floor is yours.
So I guess the best spot to find me is probably on TikTok. That's at Chris Uminski. I'm on Facebook too. You can follow me there. I'm on Instagram at Chris Uminski. Also, I'm in a band at which we're Basics Plus. We're on all the streaming services, all the social media. We are playing this Friday night in Peabody at Rainbow Fest at 8 p.m. at the VFW. Come down and see us there.
All right, go see Chris live. And yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for checking out this episode of Wicked Good Sports. I hope you enjoyed it. As more stuff happens, especially surrounding football, we will be doing weekly episodes and then, hopefully back up to 3 times a week like we were during the NFL season. But it's a little bit difficult with summer happening. My boys who cover all the other sports are busy with their lives having fun, and there's not too much to talk about NFL wise. So thank you so much for checking out this episode. Make sure you check out the main channel, Wicked Everything, Those Fake Nerds, which is nerd and pop culture news, and our podcasting channel, Better Radio. We will see you in the next one.